Hi guys, thank you for tuning in with me, your girl Zesty and the Zesty Pooh Crew. So today I am going to be making a blueberry lemon pound or lemon blueberry pound cake. And yes, it's from scratch. I'm not a baker at all whatsoever. So be patient with me as we walk through this. And the last time I tried to make a pound cake, literally it tasted like a dough ball. And that's because I put everything in at one time, thought I was gonna blend it up. So anyway, if you like what you see and you want more of it, please hit the like, subscribe, and the notification bell so that way you can be part of the Zesty Pooh Crew. So let's get into this video. All right, so what I've done is I've sifted 3 cups of cake flour because I'm going to mix my dry ingredients up first. So this is the cake flour that I have. You can use 3 cups of all-purpose flour. My mom is a baker, and so she always suggests cake flour. To each his own. I'm going to start out with a teaspoon of salt. Here's a teaspoon of salt. I'm also getting ready to put in a half teaspoon of baking powder. Alright, that's a half teaspoon of baking powder. Lastly, I'm going to add in 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. Now we'll have the ingredients listed below. So what do you want to do now is you want to give it a nice little whisk to get everything incorporated. And then I'm going to put this to the side and I'm going to start on my wet ingredients. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out by creaming my butter. And it calls for a cup of soft butter. And this is unsalted. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cream this first. And make sure your butter is soft. Now what you want to do is you want to gradually add in 2 cups of sugar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my first cup of sugar. I'm going to cream it together with my butter. And then I'm going to add the second cup. You do want to make sure you use a spatula. So that way you can just make sure you're getting everything in there together. And you're not left with a bunch of stuff on the side. Now I'm going to add in my second cup of sugar. There we go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in about a teaspoon of lemon extract. And I'm going to start adding in my eggs one at a time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to beat in 1 egg at a time as I go. And that's how my handy dandy little spatula is going to come into play. So we're going to beat that together and we're going to do them all as follows. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin to add a cup of flour at a time. And I did sift this cake flour along with the dry ingredient. Well, I didn't sift the dry ingredients, but I sifted the flour. And so I have a cup of sour cream. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to alternate it. I'm going to start out by adding a cup of flour, a little bit of sour cream, a cup of flour until it's all gone. And you want to still make sure you're using a rubber spatula. So this is where it gets crazy in the bowl. Everything starts flying and getting all over the place. Yeah! So now I'm going to add probably about just half of what I have. Remember, it's a cup, so I want to make sure you alternate each time. So don't put the whole thing in there. So now that we have the hard part out of the way, I'm going to fold in the juice of 2 lemons, minus the seeds, of course. I also zested both of my lemons. And I use my grater, y'all, because I don't like the zester. I feel like the zester just caused me a headache. And I have 2 cups of fresh washed blueberries. I'm not sure how the recipe would be if you use frozen blueberries, I would say make sure that you thaw them out. And so anyway, you don't want to beat this in. You just want to gently fold it in, and you'll see the juice of my blueberries because they've been sitting out. Oh, and I forgot to mention the sour cream that I used earlier. I don't know if I said it, but I'm gonna say it. It should be room temperature. So make sure you set the cup of sour cream out at room temp. I'm not sure what difference it makes, but that's how the recipe goes. And so, all right, now that we've gotten this all incorporated, I'm gonna go ahead and I use Baker's Joy. This is something, again, my mama always used because she's the master of baking. And I'm gonna use Baker's Joy in order to oil my bundt pan. And I have had my oven set on 325 for the last maybe about 15 minutes. So you want to make sure you preheat your oven. I'm just drying out my bundt pan, and I'm going to spray it real good before I put my cake mix in. And it's kind of got a flour base to it. So I don't use the flour on the pan like the old school way where you use the oil and then the flour. I just use Baker's Joy and call it a day. And it does the trick in terms of it not sticking. So now I'm just going to pour it on in my bundt pan. And actually, I'm going to scoop it out. And I'm going to do it all the way around until I can successfully scoop it out. Because the last thing you want it to do is go in the hole of the bundt pan. And don't worry about that little edge control. I'm going to wipe it off. So that way it doesn't burn while it's cooking. Oh yeah. Smells so good already. So now this is what my mom always told me to do to level a cake out. Boom, boom, boom. Give it a nice little shake. There we go. And I believe we have us a leveled cake. I'm going to now put it in the oven that has been preheated to 325. I'm going to give it about an hour and then I'm going to check it. I think we're probably going to be able to go to roughly around an hour, maybe an hour and 20 minutes until your toothpick comes out dry. Okay, so you want to keep eye on it after an hour, contingent on how your oven heats. Mine tends to cook pretty fast, so I'm just going to keep an eye on it. You don't want to open the oven too much because you don't want the cake to drop. So let's get it started. We're going to see what it do. Right, Sally, right. All right, folks. So actually I was able to get my cake out within an hour and about 10 minutes. And I did test it. So like this little remnants around the edge, don't worry about that. It's not really burnt. It's just going to be a little bit more, add a little crisp to it. So we're going to let this cool. I have a cooling rack. I'm probably going to take it out in a little bit and just let it cool. Probably about a couple of hours. I just wanted y'all to see how pretty she is. I took her out of the pan. Ooh la la. Yeah. So what I have here now is I'm making my icing. I have 2 tablespoons of freshly squeezed lemon juice. I'm going to throw in about a half teaspoon of vanilla extract. And I'm going to give it about 1/4 teaspoon of lemon extract. Just 1/4 teaspoon. Just to give it a little bit more flavor. Whisk that in real good. Sorry for your ears, folks. And I'm just going to gradually add in 2 cups of confectioner sugar or powdered sugar. So this is my first cup. I just want to give it a nice little whisk. Whisk, 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 whisk. And you can taste it as you go too. Once you get it to the way you want it, you can stop. But I think that 2 cups is probably going to send us in. And you don't have to use all the glaze. And this is cup number 2. Whisk, 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 whisk. I don't want to dump it all in at one time because then you might clump it up and it's going to be a little too hard to get it to the consistency you want it. And if it's too thick like mine is, you can add just a splash of milk. to loosen it up. And I think we're going to be good money with that. Yeah. There we go. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tablespoon and I'm just going to take it around the rim of the cake and just let it fall where it may. You want to make sure you get it all down on all areas of the cake in terms of where it falls. You'll see it. I'm going to give you guys a side view in just a second. And again, you don't have to use all of this glaze. It's better to have more than to have less. This is such a pretty cake. Alright guys, I wanted to give you guys a side view. And you see how putting that spoon right on the top of there allowed it to run down. I'm going to give it some more in this area. And that's what it's all about. You want to just look at your cake and you want to see what areas may need some more. And it'll just fall the way it needs to. See? Alright, so we're going to give it a slice and dice. So that way you guys can see how moist this thing is in the inside. Alright, for those of you who know me, know I don't have any type of professional bake gear. I just go do it old school and cut a piece. It feels so wonderful. Oh man. I'm just going to lay it on a plate over here. You know, my husband and Cam is going to want a piece. And it's still a bit warm. I thought I let it cool. And I did. It's not completely cool. Probably should have let it cool off a little bit more. But it's all good. So, I'm going to give y'all a close-up and let you see where it's at, where you want to be. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. So, the quote says as follows. Finding your passion is not just about careers and money. It's about finding your authentic self, the one you've buried beneath other people's needs. Take care of yourself, folks. It's okay to love out loud and love each other, but you make sure that you're loving on yourself and giving yourself exactly what you need. And until next time, peace out.